Welcome to the 15th Floor, a Radiohead reaction podcast where a Gen X father tries to convince his Gen Z son that Radiohead is the greatest band of all time by introducing him to Radiohead music one song at a time. He reacts to those songs for the first time, and I get to talk about why I love this band and why I think they are the greatest band of all time. We are at 800 subscribers. We've been talking about for a while doing a mailbag episode. Now is the time. You've been submitting questions the last several videos, so we're going to get to those. Always have to address when there's been a gap. As you can tell, my voice is not great. In addition to that, it's spring break around here, and my younger kids, who usually do drawings for us, are not in town. But we're going to do this mailbag episode. We're going to get to a viewer request this week, and then we're going to hit the ground running with Radiohead again as soon as the kids get back next week. So don't leave us. Any chance we have to talk about ourselves is good, right?
Yep. I don't talk much, so this is a great opportunity for me to talk.
That's right. So I'm going to be taking off my glasses a lot because my multifocal glasses have not come in yet, bifocals, so I can't see up close. Gen X, we wear bifocals now. The first question here is from Mario Venditti. It says, before you guys discovered Radiohead and Imagine Dragons, respectively, who would have been your go-to bands in your youth? I grew up in the 80s, and I didn't love 80s music. I liked a lot of bands in the 80s, but I liked U2, and I liked REM. I liked what I considered rock and kind of an indie rock sound that REM was doing. As more hair bands and metal bands and sex, drugs, and rock and roll bands became popular, it was like that wasn't my thing very much. So I went to the past and I really got into Pink Floyd. I really got into Queen, AC/DC, and Led Zeppelin. Those were kind of my go-to bands before the grunge scene in Seattle, which was kind of my scene.
Before I really got into Imagine Dragons, I was probably like 10 and under. The first few songs I remember were Pumped Up Kicks, Surrender by Cheap Trick, the theme song from Scrubs.
The theme song from Scrubs. So it kind of shows you what was being played at our house on a regular basis when Jacob was in the prime of his childhood.
Those are the three roots of my music, like my music choices, and they kind of just spread out.
When you were young, I had a Microsoft Zune, and I just put all my music from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe a couple of things from the early 2000s. So there was just a mishmash of everything. And that's what you would have grown up with. I don't know what you remember, but that's what you would have grown up with. Jubal Early, a regular listener commenter, says, what's your favorite movie? And your favorite TV show?
Just like music, it changes all the time. But just to name a few movies I really enjoy, I am starting, like I always had respect for Back to the Future. I'm watching the 3 movies right now, actually. But I always thought the Planet of the Apes trilogy was also really good. But I liked Shawshank Redemption. It was like one of the first movies that you and my older brother watched that I actually paid attention to. Every week, my dad and my older brother kind of watched a movie, and I didn't really pay attention to it, but I heard Shawshank was good, and I paid attention to that, and I really liked it. TV shows, there's like 5 of them that I can think of. There's Friends, there's Simpsons. Simpsons is probably, The Simpsons is the one I watch the most.
I'm a big fan of The Godfather 1 and 2. So I watch those. Those are kind of regular viewing for me. A Few Good Men, with Tom Cruise. That's one of my favorite movies. I like courtroom drama, and that's a really good one. If I'm going to laugh, The Big Lebowski. I don't know if that's guilty pleasure, but I really like The Big Lebowski. TV show, I've always been a big fan of both the American and the British Office. I respect them both equally. Maybe I like the British Office a little bit more. I love the character of David Brent, so I actually like the UK Office. I love the cringiness of it. I even like David Brent Life on the Road, the Netflix movie. I watch those kind of on regular repeat. Of course, I grew up with a little bit in the Seinfeld Friends time. I've seen Friends as many times because my wife loves Friends, so I laugh at Friends. I know that's probably not the coolest, but you said it too, so we're not cool together. I'm a big fan of Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Mad Men. I binge watched those, and I watched them on repeat a little bit. Yeah, when I was a kid, our bedtime was 8 o'clock. We could stay up till 9 o'clock if we watched Little House on the Prairie with my mom and dad. If we didn't want to watch Little House on the Prairie, then we had to go to bed. Dull Dreamer asks, do any of you have experience in playing instruments or music education? Music education, not really. So I've done a lot of musical theater, so I enjoy music from that regard, music performance. I was in a band in high school, played rhythm guitar. I can play rhythm guitar. I can kind of jam a little bit on lead, but not good. And it's been years. Just recently, my youngest son has asked me to bring out the guitars, and so I've brought those back out and readdressed that. In band in elementary school and middle school, I played trombone. I stopped that before high school because band just wasn't considered cool in high school, so I stopped it. But that's when I was in a band with my buddies, and I still enjoy singing in choirs. I haven't been able to do that since I yelled at the Mariners back in September. I'm going to be doing some therapy with a larynx specialist to re-educate my voice, which is really crappy right now.
So with music education, obviously I'm a little bit too young to get too much education from the music, but I did trumpet in 5th grade band, and I was the best, and then I quit the next year because I didn't want to do it. If there's a song I want to play on the piano, I kind of like search it up. I play the melody on the right hand and then the chords on the left.
That's probably what I play more than anything else now is piano. I plunk a lot on the piano. I basically take what I know from rhythm guitar and insert it on the piano and then play and fiddle around a little bit with my right hand. Marton Ramhani, I'm sorry I butchered that, but the question is, what are your favorite lyrics, either from Radiohead or another band or artist? There's a lot of good ones. Weird Fishes, Reckoner is great on the lyrics, but I think Fake Plastic Trees is my favorite lyrically, and that's really saying a lot because they're all very good lyrically to me. As far as Radiohead goes, I think Trent Reznor is a highly underrated lyricist. That's really tough because I'm a melody man. I get into music, I get into song, I get into structure through melody and music before I get in lyrically, so I can be just as entertained by Sir Mix-a-Lot as I can be, Hanson. No, I can't. I can't be entertained by Hanson. I can't even pretend.
But the starting line by Keane, I feel like that's good stuff there.
Inverse Midas says, from all the side projects and solo work that has come from the members of Radiohead, what have been your favorite? This probably for me, unless you say The Smile, because that's all you've heard. I will say, so far I really liked The Smile. I think that has been more attractive immediately. As far as their other work, probably Ed O'Brien's album. I liked Earth. It's not like it was Radiohead music that he couldn't get the band to get behind. It was his own stuff, and it had a kind of a late 80s, early 90s U2 feel to it, which I'm okay with. Elaine Barstow, my question is, what is to Jacob's left-hand side that needs his immediate attention at the end of the videos?
Yep. It's the mouse. We don't want to put it up here, and I don't want to like put it all the way up here. So there's just like a little shelf thingy that I use to just put the mouse on, and then right at the end of the videos, I say 15th floor. I reach over, grab the mouse, end the video.
And now he's added some drama to it. When it cuts and he's kind of zipping away, it's him kind of dramatizing the retrieval of the mouse to stop the recording.
Yep.
I hope
it's very anticlimactic.
Glamorous
I know.
Answer. Also, what does Scott think of Phil Selway's new album? Don't even know it. Sorry. Somebody asked me recently what I thought of Nick Mason's solo stuff from Pink Floyd. And I gotta tell you, I don't necessarily branch out. As much as I love Radiohead, as much as I love Pink Floyd, doesn't mean I'm gonna just go down every rabbit hole. But I should check it out. I don't think it's on Amazon, so it just hasn't popped up as a hit. You might also like this, so I have no opinion. I am Switzerland. Jonas Wenden says, does Jacob listen more to Radiohead now after starting the channel? Like, does he actually listen to Radiohead songs from time to time by choice? And if that's the case, what songs?
I really don't, and it sucks because I really should. For me to listen to more songs, I kind of have to like accidentally hear them. I haven't added a Radiohead song to a playlist yet because I want to hear it more. Burn the Witch, I remember like after listening to it, I'm like, maybe I should listen to it again. I listened to it again and I gave it a better ranking. Body Snatchers, I remember I'm like, ooh, I might add this to the playlist, listen to it, but then kind of stop listening to it.
Still from Jonas Winden, what's your best music-related memory together?
Keen.
Yeah. Just before shutdown for COVID, we went and saw with his older brother. We went to Portland and saw Keen, and that was fun. It was a small venue. I love a small venue concert. I also saw Radiohead at a very small venue years ago, but I enjoyed that concert, and we just had a good weekend in Portland, and it was right before shutdown, and that was their last concert, probably their last live concert in the United States in 3 years. So, yeah.
And we tried Voodoo Donuts for the first time.
That was not my first time.
That was not your... Oh, I tried Voodoo Donuts for my first time. It was great.
Hate to break it to you, but yeah. Voodoo Donuts. We had a lot of Voodoo Donuts that night, that year. That
weekend.
That weekend. For Scott, what's your favorite Pink Floyd album and song? This is not a glamorous answer. I love The Wall. I can tell you, I can make a case for any Pink Floyd album after 1970 to be my favorite, including The Final Cut and including Momentary Lapse of Reason. But certainly The Division Bell, Wish You Were Here, and Dark Side of the Moon, those are all easy to choose, but I would say The Wall. The Wall is what really got me into Pink Floyd, and it's probably still one of my favorite albums of all time. It never gets old. I really enjoyed every time Roger Waters tours with The Wall. I know it doesn't happen all the time, but I've seen it, and I enjoy that concert. Favorite song? I'm a weirdo. I like Cymbeline. Of course, I like Comfortably Numb. The Gunner's Dream. The Final Cut. The song The Final Cut. One Slip. High Hopes. Wish You Were Here, of course, is amazing. Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Pink Floyd is really hard for me to talk about because I listened to The Wall, was so enthralled by it that I listened to it twice a day for like a year and slowly introduced more Pink Floyd throughout that time. But within a year from the first time I heard The Wall to a year later, I had heard everything by Pink Floyd, probably owned everything by Pink Floyd. I mean, it was a real quick conversion in my youth. And so that's a hard thing for me to answer, but the simplest answer is The Wall. Tongo Studio asks, to Jacob, choose one song that you would recommend to your friends if they wanted to know what Radiohead really sounds like, and give a reason why you chose that song over the other.
High and Dry. Because, again, my friends are more into melody and
pop structure.
Yeah, it's more friendly,
accessible.
Accessible for Gen Zers.
It probably is one of the most accessible songs for Gen Zers. And I would probably say something similar, actually. If I get one shot to prove to somebody that Radiohead's worth listening to more, I mean, it's got to be something like that, right? Doesn't it? Andrew Rollinson says, I'm in the UK and was a massive fan of Nirvana. My question for the father would be, what were your feelings on Nirvana and the angelic singer who broke so many hearts, mine included, back in 1994? So I grew up in the Seattle area, very close to Seattle, and again, as I said, I did not like a lot of modern music. I was really done with hair bands, and then everyone started getting into this like white people loving Motown type songs, which like Boys to Men and stuff like that, and it felt like music was like we were kind of losing our grip on good music. Vanilla Ice, I mean, come on, and then Seattle woke that up. Grunge woke that up, and no one did it more universally, in a more universally acceptable way than Nirvana. But Nirvana switched my way of thinking. When I heard Nirvana, I was like, okay, it's going to be okay. This is good. I would say I didn't really get into a lot of other outside of grunge until 94. I think the summer of 94 with Green Day and Weezer and The Offspring. That was just a really good time for post-grunge, to remind you that music is still gonna be good even without Kurt Cobain. When Kurt Cobain killed himself, there was a memorial We were just there at the Seattle Center, where and you've seen pictures of it. If you've ever heard about memorials for Kurt Cobain, it was right after it happened, and Courtney Love read his suicide note. I was there for that, and that's a moment of my life that at the time I thought I just got to be up there, but now I feel like, holy cow, I was a part of like music history. That was a big deal. And every time I go, we were just at a Seattle Kraken hockey game, and we walked right by the spot where I was that day. Just in case you're curious, as much as I love all of Nirvana's stuff, and I really think, just like Radiohead, they really, once they got going, they really hit everything. But I think my favorite Nirvana song is "You Know You're Right," which is a posthumous release, and but I just think that song encapsulates every aspect of Nirvana to me. So if you don't love "You Know You're Right," listen to it some more, because it's really good.
Oh, Dad.
What?
Kurt didn't kill himself.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe you would say that.
Yeah, we hold very tightly to the idea that Courtney Love had something to do with Kurt Cobain's death. So that is not conspiracy. That is fact. Fight me on it. The dude says, "Do you ever plan on seeing The Smile live? They still seem to be touring." Maybe. I don't go to a lot of concerts anymore. The last several concerts I've been to, I have found myself trying to sit far away from the stage because it's too loud. These kids are so loud. Sit down and be quiet and enjoy the music. That's what I'm very curmudgeonly at concerts. And I don't like crowds. I'm doing worse and worse with crowds now. So that's why I like small venues. I saw Queen with Adam Lambert, and I really enjoyed that concert, but my favorite part about it was just being able to sit the whole time. So I'm just not concert going anymore. I saw so many concerts in the 90s. I mean, literally dozens, maybe 100, I don't know. But I've seen so many concerts. My hearing is terrible because I always sat so close. It's just, I'd rather just enjoy the music outside of the concert. Alex Harris says, "What's your favorite opening track to a Radiohead album?" Whew.
Here we go.
It's so hard for me. I've always thought Airbag was good, and I know that's not everyone's favorite answer. But to me, the two best, I can't believe I'm leaving Burn the Witch out of this because it's a great song. And there's "And You" from Pablo Honey. But really, the two best are 2 + 2 = 5, and probably the best is "Everything in Its Right Place." Well, you haven't heard "Everything in Its Right Place" yet, but that is such a key. That is, all opening tracks of Radiohead albums are perfect, but "Everything in Its Right Place" is so perfect because it's the first song of Kid A, which is the rebirth, the metamorphosis of Radiohead. And the fact that it went from OK Computer, this grand, huge, amazing, acclaimed album, and they just changed gears and said, you're either with us or you're with us and you don't know it yet. And that's when Everything in Its Right Place came out. And we'll get to talk a lot more about that when we talk about that song. But that my answer is Everything in Its Right Place. Also by Alex Harris, what was the Radiohead album you were most hotly anticipating? That's easy. It was OK Computer. Thrimpton asked a few questions. Bear with us here. Scott, what do you do for a living? I'm a chiropractor. It's pretty boring. I've been a chiropractor for 17 years. I have my own practice. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's that boring. Jacob, what would you like to do for a living?
I like the feeling of helping people. So I always thought anywhere from therapy to psychology or psychiatry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, psychiatry. Anywhere in that area I feel like would be rewarding, fun, cool. Helpful.
I would make a joke about psychiatrists being a quack, but it doesn't come off very good coming from a chiropractor. So, what are your favorite things to eat and drink?
Junk.
I'm a big fan of country fried steak. If you don't know what that is, it's like fried chicken, but with cubed steak instead of chicken. And I really like that with potatoes and country gravy. If I'm eating healthy, which is not usually this time of year. But if I'm, as far as like a family meal that we just have regularly, I don't know. I'm a big fan of pesto. Put pesto on it and it's good.
Nope.
Lucky Charms with pesto.
For eating, I don't know. I kind of go around, but the main things are like burgers of any sort, like chicken or beef. And then I also like Italian stuff. I like spaghetti. I like lasagna. I like stuff like that. I like pasta. Family dinners, we do one. Firecracker meatballs. That stuff really hits the spot. And then chicken with sriracha. Sriracha?
Yeah, sriracha.
Chicken and sriracha sauce. That stuff is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then to drink,
we're not exotic drinkers at all.
no, I mean Mountain Dew Voltage is probably the most exotic thing I like to drink. Yeah. And then, I mean, you can't go wrong with water.
Yeah, water's probably my favorite thing to drink. But as far as my addictions, that's Cherry Coke Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really boring answer. Still from Thrimpton. What is the most significant thing you have learned as a result of tackling your 15th floor YouTube project together? I'm going to combine that, if I could, with the last question. In those periods when life is busy, things are difficult, and you're struggling to find the energy and enthusiasm to start working on another episode, what motivates you? To me, those two go together. What I really like most about doing this 15th floor project is just seeing how supportive people are. I thought, to me, the internet's a place where people get really cocky on a keyboard and kind of are rude to each other, and kind of it can bring out the worst in people. I don't know why I think that. Maybe just because that's what Facebook is and it's gross. But I've been really impressed that you when you have something in common with people, and everyone's just been really understanding. They don't mind that you don't love Radiohead as much as they do. They don't mind that I ruin those songs by telling you something about it that they don't think you should know, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. No one's been really rude about that. The most hate mail we've ever gotten is about using earbuds for the very first video that we did for There. And maybe our reaction to Muse. Muse fans really got, and it wasn't even a bad reaction. We said it was good, but Muse fans really got uppity about that. But outside of that, everyone's been really cool, really understanding. It really warms the soul to see the same people comment, new people comment. I love anytime someone says, hey, just discovered this channel, think it's a good thing what you guys are doing, because I think that people get it. This isn't, we're never going to have enough views or likes or any of that to make this monetarily interesting. It's not. It's just a project that's fun and keeps Jacob off the streets.
This whole thing, we say it multiple times. We did not expect to get over 100 subscribers. But
yeah,
in just
or even 100 views. Like, yeah, no.
But in probably the first 24 hours, we had at least 200 views on our first episode, maybe.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. 30 subscribers, first episode, and I just thought to myself, wow, that's good. I mean, like, I was thinking, okay, maybe that's a fluke because it's the first episode. Maybe YouTube's trying to push it out. But then as we go on, we get more views. I mean, the motivation for me is goals. Like, all right, we're at 800 and something subscribers. Let's get to 900. Let's get to 1,000. I mean, I want to get to 1,000 before I leave, which we should be able to do.
I like meeting people who say, and it's happened, as small as our community is, I like meeting people who I had no idea are watching, and they say, I really liked your episode on such and such a thing. And I've actually had a couple people come up to me and say, I've never heard of, they've usually heard of Radiohead, but I never even thought about Radiohead. I knew this song and this song, and then they point out one song. One example that comes to mind is somebody who came up to me and said, I cannot believe I had never really listened to Radiohead before. And when he was talking about the episode for I Promise, and he said, that song just stuck with me. I downloaded it. It's just my song right now. And anyway, I like stuff like that. That's motivating. It's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that most people that watch this are Radiohead fans, for sure. And they want to see Jacob's reaction to Radiohead. And they probably might be expecting the classic reaction channel thing where you just, everything's wonderful. Oh, that song was wonderful. And Jacob, bless his heart, is more critical. Not in a bad way, but just more of a, that's either going to hit me or it's not going to hit me. Luckily, it's Radiohead, so it hits you or you're a moron. So everybody loves what they love because it's moved them somehow. It's made an imprint on their lives. And if you can appreciate it on their behalf, even if it's just on their behalf, that always helps people. It keeps them going. And music's an easy thing to do that with, because music, more than just dancing to it or tapping your foot to it, it does move you. And so it's probably the only medium that you can pass on to somebody else or introduce to somebody else that can become their own, but you can share it together. And even as much as I make fun of some bands that people love, when someone comes up to me and they tell me they're a huge Rolling Stones fan, I'm not going to say, "Are you kidding me? What are you, an idiot?" I'll just keep that to myself and think, "Oh, the Rolling Stones touched you. You must be a Neanderthal." No, but I at least understand what they're talking about. It might not do the same for me, but I at least get why it moves them and what that could possibly mean. Thank you so much for your questions. We will get back to some Radiohead starting next week. This week we'll do one more viewer request. We'll just kind of take that from some of the suggestions that have already been given, but feel free to keep giving those. We'll get back to Radiohead next week. Thank you so much. Continue to love one another. Keep listening to music together. You're now leaving
the 15th floor.